die. I live again. What a lovely day.
Donuts. Yes, hello slimy furtlers. Oh, blimey. What we've got here today is a Hot Wheels Tooned Ferrari Modena, Ferrari 360 Modena. I don't normally like tuned cars, so you may ask, well, you probably won't, but I'm going to ask the question, why do you have a tuned car, you know, in front of you? The answer to that one is quite simple, because I'm a dickhead. What's happened at some point along the line, I can't remember doing it, is I was obviously going through a rummage box of some sorts, and I have a small Ferrari collection, and I've got Ferraris, and I make sure that they're all in the correct colour, because nothing depreciates worse than a Ferrari that's the wrong colour. And I was probably going through a rummage box, and I picked this up and I saw Ferrari 360 Modena underneath, and I was like, oh, nice one, I haven't got one of those. So, you know, it went in my thing. Usually what I'll have is I'll have my hat, and I'll chuck cars that I want in the hat, or I'll put them separate or something. I did, when I was going through a rummage box once, I was putting cars in my pocket, you know, my jacket pocket, so that I could have them out of the way, so I've got both hands free. And I got, you know, asked by one of the people in the shop to please not do that, because it looks like I'm shoplifting. Yeah, so somehow while going through rummage boxes, I've ended up with this. And it's like I say, I generally dislike the tuned versions because I like stuff to look real, you know, realistic. So what I've decided to do with this one is, because it does have quite a nice shape to it, and I thought I'm going to Gaslands'd this one up, because, you know, in the grim darkness of the post-apocalyptic Earth, who's to say what cars look like, you know? So yeah, so I'm gonna just quickly looking over it. The body's metal, base is metal, which is unusual. Wheels are in good condition, axles are a bit rusty, paint, who gives a shit about that because it's coming off anyway. Interior is that horrible chromed interior. It does have a nice looking engine at the back there, with red glass for the windows. Now, one of the other things I've noticed as well is it does actually have transparent headlamps, unfortunately, because the car is mostly black, and there is like a chrome inside with, you know, really nice headlight details on it, but you can't see it because the contrast, you know, black body and then tiny little headlamps like that. So one of the things I'm going to attempt to do is kind of try and highlight these you know, headlamps kind of thing. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when I crack it open, because obviously if the glass is red, then there must be a separate section with the clear plastic, or, well, I say clear plastic, it's more smoked, which probably doesn't help the seeing the interior lights. But yeah, so it's probably going to be two different pieces of clear plastic to go with the chrome interior. So anyways, let's have a look. Oh, one rivet, yeah, one rivet, and it's got a little hook at the back there that can be a number plate or something. But then again, you don't need number plates in the wasteland, because it's not like anybody going to check on what your car's doing. So yeah, let's get it cracked open, and then we can start sorting out what I'm going to actually do with it. Oh, my mistake. The body is actually a transparent, smoky plastic. It's, oh, that's really weird. Interesting, but weird nonetheless. Interior, horrible chrome. Don't like it. Glass, fine. Chassis, I don't really need to do anything with it really. It's fine as is. It's just the body that needs alteration. Now I can't chuck it in the pot of goo because it's plastic, so the thing really did feel like metal. Mind you, I think this chassis weighs a fair bit, so I'm thinking that because of the weight, and then when I flicked it and looked at it, it was quite solid. I'm thinking that's kind of thrown me off a bit there, but let's get it in. Let's get that chrome stripped off first. So what I've got here is a jar. Yep, see this jar, and it's got what looks like a urine sample in it. This isn't a urine sample. It's actually a product called elbow grease, which is a kind of degreaser stroke cleaning product. And we'll just and then leave that in the sun, because what tends to happen is when I leave it in this product, give it a bit of a shake up like that, the elbow grease starts to eat away at the chrome. It doesn't damage the plastic in any way, shape or form, it just eats away at the chrome, but it seems to do it a lot better when you put it in sunlight. So into the window it goes.
Moments later.
Okay, so I've just given this body shell a brush off because it was a bit grimy and had a bit of crap on it, but probably could have been literal crap, I don't bloody know, because you never know where it's been before you buy it, which is a good idea to clean. It's always a good idea to clean your stuff. You don't know what it's got on it. But yeah, what I've decided to do is there are some air intake notches back here, and what I've decided to do is turn them into Canon mounts. You know, basically Canon, heavy machine gun, whatever. And using one of these, which is a cotton bud, I'll make tubes. See if I can do it. So I'll just get the scissors and just clip the cotton bud bit off the end there. And what we'll do is we'll kind of fit it like that, and then I'll have to mix up some milliput, modelling clay, whatever you want to call it, or filler, whatever, and I'll mould that into the body shell on both sides. So we've got two sort of forward mounted heavy machine guns, and on the front here, the front looks awfully plain, so what I was going to do is fit some sort of bull bar or spiky thing, you know, something like that to the front, just to give it a bit of look. I mean, in terms of you know, Gaslands'd play, this would, well, the Ferrari 360 would fit in very nicely as a performance car. Unfortunately, performance cars are quite limited to the amount of weapons they can, you know, weapons that they can mount. So you know, so yeah, I'll mix up some milliput. Well, first off, I'm going to cut the tubes down. So let's do that. Let's do that on camera. Let's do the first bit on camera. So I want about that long. Very simple to do with just a pair of scissors. Very simple. So I want two barrels the same length. Now these tubes that I'm making here out of the shank or shank shaft, whatever, of a, you know, cotton bud. I just chuck rubbish in there. Right, these two shanks, they're quite soft. So what I usually do whenever I'm making something, oh god, where's it gone? Mind you, I've got that much blue junk on here. I'm actually working on quite a few different projects at the moment. Some of them not car related. Whereas I'm looking in the wrong place. Yeah, actually working on a few different projects at the moment. Some not car related, some just basically modelling projects and stuff like that. So you know, I've got bits all over for everything for what I'm doing. So as I was saying, these tubes are quite flexible, you know, quite thin and flexible. So what I like to do is just give them a little bit of strength by taking a cocktail stick or toothpick or whatever you call it in your part of the world. Most Americans prefer to call them toothpicks. Well, okay, whatever. Americans, you could call the stuff what you want in your country, but in my country I call them cocktail sticks. And then what I do is just push that through there. Now this doesn't leave much thingy for a barrel, so just pull it back a little bit. Pull it back a little bit so it's still got a visible barrel, and I want to leave a bit of this and then. So we'll just get super glue. Good old cheapo super glue. Does the job just as well as any of that expensive stuff that you get seen. Fortunately, the cheapo super glue tends to be liquid, which can cause problems sometimes, but not if you're careful. So I shall just pop that in there. Go on, get in, there we go, pop that in there, and more or less immediately the super glue sticks. It's not in far enough. Oh shit, no, I don't want it to go that far. Ow, 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 ow. I've got super glue on my hands, so now it's burning. It doesn't burn that bad, to be honest. The worst super glue I ever got, I got a big thing of super glue, like one of these. It was liquid super glue, and it was the kind of industrial strength stuff. I got a pot of that from the car boot ones for £2, so I thought, oh, I'll give that a shot. Yeah, when you got that on your hands, you really knew about it straight away. It didn't half burn. So yeah, there we go. Gun barrel made out of simple cocktail stick and a cotton bud. There we go. So I cut that, and there we have a bit protruding out the back, which I can then use to secure it through that vent hole. Makes the you know, the kind of base for it, if you want to call it a base, more stable. So I'll just push this one through here, so we've got two of identical length, and for some reason that won't. There we go. Just loosen the thing up a bit. So just ram your shaft into that hole and give it a good shake to make sure that the hole's wide enough, and then we shall pop some glue on the end here. God, I feel like a Blue Peter presenter. That said, when I was younger, I actually did want a job as a Blue Peter presenter, but then as I got older I realised that they wouldn't give me a job as a Blue Peter presenter, because unfortunately the BBC doesn't give jobs to people who are as foul-mouthed and, I won't say right wing, but as right leaning as I am. Well, didn't used to be at all. It's just as I've got older, I've kind of lost a lot of the progressive idealism, because, you know, I've actually lived in the real world, and realised that it's not a very nice place, and sometimes being happy clappy slappy isn't always the done thing. I need to drill a hole, which means getting the drill out. 2mm. I'm not going to use the actual power drill. That's just fucking overkill. Yeah, I'll just drill these holes a little. Now, this might cause some problems when it comes round to putting the body shell back in, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's the body shell that's most important here, not the interior, although I would really like to have that engine on show. I've got a funny feeling that the engine might have to disappear so that I can put in the ammo feeds to the cannons, but then again, I don't have to put the ammo feeds to the cannons in. I don't have to if I don't want to. Depends on how the overall look is at the end. Right, so I'll just drill that out. We should pop that in there, and yeah, I need to grind that out a bit, because at the moment the guns are facing upwards, which is dead handy if you know, you're driving along and somebody tries to attack you in a helicopter or something, which, you know, might or might not happen in the post-apocalyptic wasteland, which, I don't know, could be nuclear wasteland, could be, you know, could be the coronavirus did a lot more damage than, you know, what they're saying it's going to do, and you know, a bit like The Stand, if you've ever read or seen. There was a really good TV series, or mini-series made of The Stand, where people, nearly all of the world's population, catches a flu-like disease, and only a handful of people are immune to it, and the world's population gets reduced by about 90% in the space of a few weeks.
Start up. Time out.
Oh, sorry about that, I completely forgot you were there. I got focused, you know, really focused in on doing this, and what I've realised from all the filing and stuff is that I'm basically going to have to cut out the entire air intake section in order to get this down, or more or less all of it, because no matter what I'm doing at the minute, the guns end up angled upwards, which is not what I want. I want them to be down flat. So in order to get the right angle to mount them, I'm going to have to cut out this sort of teardrop shaped section in order to get them in, which I'm going to do off camera, because it'll take a fair bit of precision filing and stuff like that, and I don't want it to go on for too long. So I shall be back once I've hollowed these out and mounted the guns. Ha! Done! Right, yeah, got them in. Had to cut the shanks on the end of the gun barrels down a little, but yeah, I've got them safely nestled in there, and ready for me to get the milliput out and smooth it over. I haven't finalised or decided what I'm going to do with the kind of front bumper bit yet, but yeah, that's the guns done, barring the kind of detailing on, like I said, like ammo belts or something like that.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, and we're back here now. So yep, I've I haven't put the milliput on that on yet, but I have made a start on the front sort of bull bars, spiky bit, ram thing. But what I've done is I ground out 2 little grooves underneath using the cutting disc on my knot Dremel, and then just glued in some pieces of cut up paperclip. This stuff is damned useful, and you can make just about any kind of metal structure with pieces of paperclip. It's amazing, very strong as well. So what the intention is I'm going to, when the glue has properly dried on this, because it's dry, but I don't like to mess about with it for a while after I've got it on. Yeah, so just got a milliput on the stop now. So you've never seen milliput before. This is just standard milliput. Some uses model making, sculpting, bolt repairs, but basically 2-part epoxy putty. You have this yellow stuff, and then you have this sort of slightly green stuff. And what you do is I don't need a lot, so I need to be careful with how much. I don't want to use that knife. I'll use this knife. Let's get out my multi-tool here and I don't want to use too much, so I just want to cut a little bit of this yellow stuff off. That'll do. So yep, so I've got 2 pieces, the 2 pieces of the epoxy putty there, so we'll just wrap that back up. If you let the air get to this, it can lead to all sorts of problems, so it's best to keep it in its plastic bags and keep it separate from each other. Yep, we've just got the milliput out, and we're just going to knead it, roll it, mix in the green part comes out a kind of a grey colour. Games Workshop sells something they call green stuff, which is basically exactly the same, except it's hideously overpriced. I do believe you can buy something similar to green stuff, which is blue on one side, yellow on the other, and it just looks like a stick of chewing gum. I forgot what they're called, the actual name. Needetite, I think that the cheaper equivalent of it is, although I've never seen Needetite anywhere on sale. So I'm going to take the top off and just put that to the side. Also need this. And you say, why do I need a screwdriver? Well, the simple reason is that the screwdriver is a shaping tool. I use it as a shaping tool. So I've probably made way too much there for what I need. I've made a thing here, and I'm just going to kind of roll it round into this sort of sausage shape. And then what I'm going to do, it doesn't matter at this point if I get this dirty, because in fact what I'm going to do is, now that it's in that sausage shape, I'm going to cut it in half. Oh, it's not an equal sausage. Bugger this, isn't it? I can probably do what I need to do with just what I've got in my hand here, but yeah, I've got a big piece there. But I will show you what you can do with leftover milliput. Hopefully I'll be able to do well. I say hopefully. What I'll do is I'll put that on there, like so, and then just push it down. Now just wet the tip of the screwdriver a little bit, and just there we go, just neat round the Canon mount. Yeah, try and get it as smooth as possible. Putting water on the milliput actually helps it to become more flowy, smoother, if you wanna say it like that. But yeah, helps it to become much more pliable.
Start up. Time out.
There we go. Oh, it was a lot easier. I'm gonna have to sand a bit of that off. The thing is though, with using milliput like this, it does take a while for it to cure. still, and now I'm left over with this stuff. So what am I going to do? Well, here's a little bit of a bonus. Little bit of a bonus for you. I'm not going to use any water on this because it doesn't really need it, but we'll just do that to make into a sausage. Fold it right. You need to try and get the sausage to be of a uniform length, well, uniform thickness, girth, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we've got a long sausage here, and what I'm now going to do is just take this scalpel and just roll it along. Just roll it along like that. Okay, so we've now got a slightly flat sausage. I'll also use a scalpel to pick some of my hair there, and you don't want hair mixed in. And I'll do that, and as you can see, because I've used the table to it's left behind a lot of residue. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clip off, well, just snip off one end, just let that drop away, and then I'm going to continue snipping. Just continue snipping like so. Snip. Come on. Snip. 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 And there, folks, what we have is a pile of sandbags or sacks or whatever. And at this, at this scale, at this scale, you could use those for, kind of diorama car models, battle scenes for 172 tanks. You can even use them for 28mm miniatures, such as Games Workshop miniatures. But yeah, that's the engine cowl. That's the gun cowling's done, and a little bit of a bonus lesson there for you in how to make sandbags. So when we come back, hopefully by then I will have figured out what I'm going to do with the spiky bit bumper. Like I say, I'm not even 100% sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I know I know roughly what it's going to look like when I've finished with it. And we'll just pop these bits. Got these new little bits that I've made here. We've got that still needs a wash. We're just going to pop these little bits in here because this lives on my windowsill, and it's where I put all parts from stuff in. So just drop those in, and they will dry and become rock solid, because milliput does become rock solid when you've finished with it. It's one of the things that makes it really nice for modelling with, because you don't have to get a proper shape. You just need to get it into the rough shape of what you want, and then you can file and sand it away and all that good stuff to get the proper shape what you want. So yeah, so we're done. So the next bit is going to be making the spiky bit front for this. I'm probably going to use, well, I've got some ready-made spikes here on the end of cocktail sticks, so guess what I'm going to be doing there, but we'll sort that out later. So yeah.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Alrighty then, so we're back now, and the milliput has dried and it's now nice and solid. I've sanded it off a little bit to take out the lumps and bumps that were on there. I've also masked off the front headlamps, and also put a bit of masking tape inside so that we don't get paint on, the thing, because I actually want that bit to be see-through, whereas the rest of the body I want to colour in. On the chassis, I've done the spiky front bit. Quite simple. Did it off camera because I was just bored at night and wanted something to do, so I did it off camera. But yeah, it's just a simple construction made out of coffee stirrers and cocktail sticks, just made like a little frame box thing, and drilled holes, pushed cocktail sticks into it, super glue by the gallon, nice spiky. So we're now ready to get some paint on this, and yeah, I think we'll start. It's a Ferrari, so it's got to be red. So we'll start with a nice white undercoat, I think, and then we'll move on to the actual gloss red over the top. The interior has also, I don't know whether you can see there, the interior has also been successfully de-chromed. I just need to fish it out and wash it off, because I don't want any of the elbow grease you know, still being on it when I attempt to paint it. The interior, I'm probably going to keep black, but because the windscreen is, you know, the windscreen glass is red, so realistically painting any of the interior will be a bit of a wasted effect. But I am going to paint on the the headlamps inside and the engine at the back, because, you know, that's something that I can, you know, that can be seen properly, whereas the seats and the dashboard and stuff, they can't really be seen very well. So yeah, let's get busy with the paint, and when we come back should have a nice red body on this, and that's just going black. So yeah, let's go.
12 seconds later.
Okay, so while I'm waiting for the red gloss to dry on the body shell, I just thought I'd show you a little bit of stuff what I'm doing with there. First off, the glass, I've given it a wash, and there's a lot of scratches in it. I don't want to try sanding the scratches off because of it being red plastic. May not be able to get it back into a good condition. But the base is metal, like I showed you thingy. I put a spikes on there. I just put a bit of silver paint over the top to start with, just to, you know, give it that kind of metal appearance. Put a bit of chrome pen on the the rims, and what I've started doing here is I've started colouring in the rear brake discs with a red. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick an ink wash over them, basically over the wheels and the spiky bit, just to give it a bit of, I don't know, depth or whatever. So if you're not really, you know, au fait with doing ink washers, basically all it is I've got an old pot here, and I got some oh god, I can't even open it. Oh shit, god, that's on tight. There we go. Bow before me. Yeah, so what we've got here is just an old black Tamiya pot, and I put some of the I've got some artist's black acrylic paint in a tube, and that does alright for painting things, but sometimes it does leave a bit of a chunky appearance. So what I like to do is squeeze some into here, pop in some hot water, close it up, give it a good shake, and it becomes a really, really good black ink or tire wash or whatever you want to call it. And all we do is I just dip this brush. It's just a wide brush because I don't need to be too detailed here. Just get a little bit on the end and just brush it on. And the ink, or watered down paint if you want to call it that, which is basically what it is, just flows into all the gaps, all the little creases and everything there. And see, we put little lines on. Might be a little bit too thick, that actually, but, and this is one of the great things about doing this, is that even if the ink itself is a little too thick, what you can just do is dip your brush in water again, give it a swizzle round, and then just put the water on and it thins it out. It's a good way of kind of fine-tuning what you're doing. I've got here is I've just got the interior, which, like I said earlier, I'm not going to do much with, because there's no real need to. But what I am going to do is this. I mean, I call this a chrome pen. It's not. It's actually a silver, is it Uniball Signo? I got a few of them from somewhere, I can't remember where. It was like 3 for £1 or something like that. So I got some silver and a gold one as well, although the gold one isn't very shiny gold. It comes out more like brass, sort of brass or something like that colour, and seems to have a lot of green in it as well for some reason. You put it on some things and it kind of separates out into green. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to, with the engine here at the back, just trace round all these little bits that are poking up. So that's that. I mean, there we go. That's the rough, absolute bare minimum roughest amount of detail. I mean, I could put a bit of silver on the gear knob or the gear stick or whatever you want to call it. Maybe a bit on the handbrake as well. There we are. so there we go. I mean, I don't know whether the gear stick or the handbrake will be able to see it properly through the. In fact, if we just put the windscreen over the top, and you can see the engine bits. They are kind of picked out. The gear stick and stuff you can sort of see through the side window, which on the completed car will be you'll be able to see through the windows because the windows are open. Yeah, so that's just that little bit there. Yeah, so that's basically that's the interior done. I don't really want to do anything more with that. There's nothing really more I can do with that. Like I say, the glass is cleaned and ready for go. So all I need to do now is finish the main body shell and do a bit of highlighting and distressing on the lower chassis and finish those wheels off now that I've fucked them up. But yeah, so when we come back, hopefully the body shell will be there, and I'll put some racing stripes on it, because nice racing stripes. Just a plain red Ferrari is alright, but you know, if you've got a Ferrari in the post-apocalyptic world of tomorrow, you don't really, you know, you want to show it off a bit. So we'll put some racing stripes on, make it look a bit flashy. So yeah, so I'll see you when that bit's done.
Eventually.
And we're back. Now, we've got here is the completed parts and everything. The chassis with the spiky bits on. I just gave the silver, well, where I put a bit of black ink over it, I just gave it a little bit of brown ink on top of it as well. We've got the nice clean windshield, we've got the interior and the body, and I did a lot of work on it off camera, because this while I've been looking, this video has already gone on long enough as it is, so I didn't want to add too much more. But yeah, put the racing stripes on just using some electrician's tape. I did a bit of inking around the you know, the panel lines, stuff like that, you know, the doors and the front, I want to call it bonnet, but it's not really on this car. The bonnet, the engine's at the back, so bonnet, is it a boot? I don't know. Unfortunately, as you can see there, I've got some blue metallic on the light switcher, on the headlamps, because alas, the smoky plastic just didn't show through, even though I silvered and put some white on the headlamps. It didn't show through at all. There was literally nothing there, you couldn't see anything. So yeah, that one was a bit of a disappointment, so I just put some blue metallic on there. I've also done white lights at the back. I was going to put in like red lights and indicators and stuff like that, but you don't really need those. So yeah, let's get this put back together. So we'll flip her over, and you can see in there, that's where I've put the you know, put the tape. And I did assemble this one off camera just to make sure that things go together, and it seemed to go together alright, so I'm not going to argue too much with it. So there we go, that's the glass in place. It's a bit fiddly, this one, because of how it kind of fits together, so I need to make sure that the headlights are firmly planted in the, you know, in their spaces, and that's kind of what holds the body together. And then we put the rear tab through at the back, and it kind of all hinges down and should just slot into position like so. Yep, there we go. And just to make sure, I shall pop a little dab. What the hell have I done with it? Just to make sure, I shall pop a little dab of cheapo super glue into that into the post hole. There we go. And there we have it. Oh, hang on a minute. Why is that back wheel scraping against the wheel well? Seems to be a really big gap. I bet you I've not pushed that in far enough. Hang on, let's give it a bit of a push. I'll do that off camera. The wheels don't need to. The wheels, I like the wheels to roll, but if you're going to use this for, you know, playing Gaslands, you don't necessarily need the wheels to roll. But yeah, there we go. Sort it out. There we are. The wheels roll a bit better now. So there we are. It was just one of the back wheels was scraping against the wheel well, and it's like, and I think it's just because I've added layers of paint over the top, and it's slide them out. But yeah, there we have it. It's a Hot Wheels tuned Ferrari 360 Modena that's been Gaslands'd up with the big cannons and the spiky bits on the front. Ideal for roving around the wasteland, looking flash and shooting things and making a quick getaway. Like I say, in game I'd run this either as a performance car or a normal car. I don't know, but yeah, so I'm going to put on some pictures at the end, close-up pictures, so that you can see better how it turned out, because like I said, the focus on this camera is just awful. I mean, like that, and you can't really see anything because it's too blurry and stuff. But yeah, I don't know whether you can see. You can see there the little sort of dull red brake discs in there. Doubt it, but like I say, I'll do some pictures at the end, and you can have a good old look at what it looks like completed. So there we are. And just before we get to the pictures, I'd just like to thank everybody for watching, and I'd like to thank my new subscribers that's popped up. I've had about I don't know, maybe about a dozen or so new subscribers pop up in the last couple of weeks, and welcome. Hope you enjoy my work. And speaking of enjoying my work, if you do like my work and you wish to throw a couple of quid my way, please feel free to do so. I'll put up a card at the end with my I take things by PayPal. I don't have a Patreon or a Subscribe Star or anything like that. If people just want to give me something, then give me as and when they feel like it, not when Patreon or whatever tells them they have to. So yeah, I'll put a card up at the end with my thing. The PayPal link will also be down below, and there we are. I'm also in the process of trying to set up a kind of Pikas workshop thing on Facebook, as I'm not on Twitter, and I just can't bother with Twitter, and I'm not setting up a website just for this. But once I've got it set up on Facebook, I'll pop the link on so you can have a look, and on there will be pictures of all the cars I've done over the years and whatever. Yeah, 360 Modena Tooned style Gaslands'd up. Thanks for watching.